This Coast to Coast Entertainment Network program is brought to you by Beside Me Bracelets. Our bracelets are handmade for any occasion. Use the promo code Coast to Coast for 15% off. Visit their website at besideme.com. Suzanne's Paparazzi Jewelry. With 24-hour shopping available, use the code 160920 and show her some love, like she showed us. Reaper Apparel Company, a commitment to live your most authentic way every single day. Visit reaperapparelco.com for more information and a look at all of their apparel offerings. And by Good Day Embroidery, your local source for custom embroidery, screen printing, and more. Log on to gooddayembroidery.com for more information.
Sorry, remember, I just saw I was on mute. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Coast to Coast Entertainment Network. I am Ace, and I am back, and we're watching another episode of Sports Minute. Let me introduce you all the co-hosts for the evening. We'll go ahead and start out with that man, the professor of C2C. We call him Mr. Callum McClurg. How are you doing tonight, my man?
Doing great, Ace, and good to see you back in the saddle again here on C2C. After we know it's been a long course getting back, but glad to be here and talking some sports on a beautiful Wednesday night.
Absolutely. And then that man, Mr. Crispy Bacon, how are you doing tonight, my man?
Doing good. Glad to be back. Glad you're back. And let's talk sports.
All right. And then Mr. Big Game James, how are you doing tonight, my man?
Wait, what show is this? I'm good. This is my Friday, and I'm just happy to be away from work. And we have some interesting stories in sports, and we lost another legend today, and I'm just wanting to get into the topics.
All right. Oh, and Christy says, hello. Hello, Christy. How are you doing tonight? We hope you're having a good night so far. Shall we go ahead and get into our fun topics for tonight? The first topic that we're going to talk about, we're going to actually start with the WNBA. And our first topic, we're going to go and start out with, of course, we're going to start out with Indiana and talking about a little bit of Caitlin Clark. And the reason why is because if you remember when Caitlin Clark was drafted and people were talking about how she was the savior of Indiana, and we now know that Indiana has started the season 3-10. They have not started very well at all. They have not looked like a very good team. Caitlin Clark, yeah, she's had her ups and downs, but she's supposed to. She's a rookie. But going into that, though, do you feel like maybe when she was drafted that they might have put too much on her and expected her to already make them a top-tier team in the WNBA? So, Callan, I'll start with you. Do you think they expected too much of her immediately in year one?
Without a doubt, I agree, Adam. It's hard, I think, excuse me, to be the number one pick and go to the worst team in the entire league and begin to hopefully help this franchise turn a corner. And this is in any sport, I think, baseball, basketball, football, hockey, soccer. You're that number one pick, like the star of the draft, and you go to the worst team. Usually you go to the worst team. And I know that it's been very great. There's been a lot of great positive news, though, about Caitlin, but also we have to include Caitlin, Angel Reese, Camila Cardoso, all these other rookies. This whole rookie class in general has really turned this league on its head. I think Front Office Sports had something that was put out that May and even part of June, this has been the most successful start to a WNBA season in 26 years because of Caitlin Clark, because of Angel Reese, because of Cardoso, because of all of these young players who have taken this league by storm. Now, I know there's been a lot of horrible publicity, though, because of what has gone on over the course of the season thus far. The whole thing with, is race playing a factor? Is it this? Is it that? I just think, though, that regardless, that all of these rookies have just been doing a phenomenal job with it, though. But with Caitlin Clark, though, and guys, this goes to any rookie, though, in this league specifically. And I remember asking Candace Parker this exact question, Ace, when I interviewed her when I was in college about 10 years ago. And I said, what is it like, though, going through the process of you playing the national championship game, you win or you lose, then a week later, you're drafted. Then literally like a day after you're drafted, you're going through training camp. Like there's no time to like rest, soak it all in. Like Caitlin Clark and all of these girls, though, in this league that were drafted, they have been kind of in, game mode since the college season, March Madness came to an end, where they have just kind of been going and going and going a million miles an hour. And that was, I think maybe an excuse in people's minds. But Indiana played 11 games out of the gates in 20 days. There was no time for them to get any sort of chemistry. I remember watching their game against Washington, I believe last Friday, where I think Christy Sides, the head coach, and even the television broadcast team on Ion even said they've had like no practice time because of how this season schedule for them has gone so far to begin this season. And not just that, though, guys, they've opened up playing New York, league runners up in the finals last season, a very stingy and good veteran-clad Connecticut team who has made Caitlin Clark's life a living hell and nightmare with Dejanay Carrington, who's been playing just top-notch defense on her. Players, as Diana Taurasi said, and I think, Ace, that Jason brought it up, though, college basketball is not the same as the pros. And again, Diana Taurasi, going for her 6th gold medal in Paris coming up here in a couple of weeks, said that after during the Final Four, that once she goes pro, it's a whole new ballgame. People have the audacity to crucify Diana Taurasi for proving a point that a lot of these veterans were trying to prove, but everyone saw it as like they're jealous or this or that. So, regardless of what it is, though, I think as more time goes on, Caitlin Clark's going to be fine. Once she gets more games under her belt, though, and plenty of that going on, though, it's been great, though. The Fever in general, just kind of real quick before I wrap up my point here. They surpassed their total home season attendance for their 20 games at home last season. They surpassed it in their first 5 home games. So certainly this has been a trend at Gamebridge. We've all seen the stories and heard that, LA has sold out games more than what they would have for a Laker home game at Crypto.com Arena. The Mystics moved their game last Friday from their 4,000-seat venue to Capital One Arena and had 21,000 people. So certainly people have now begun to take notice, good or bad, about Clark, but also even Angel Reese. When she has gone back to Washington, she's from Baltimore. She's had a great following there, too. So everyone a part of this rookie draft class should be proud, though, of what they're being a part of. Again, whether that's good publicity, bad publicity, people have eyeballs on this league. People are talking about this league, though I wish it was more for the encore play. As Caitlin said, let's think about the encore play. Don't worry about what's going on off the floor involving, fans who don't know shit about basketball, going after Kennedy Carter at the team hotel in D.C. because of what she did to Caitlin Clark earlier in the season. But in a roundabout way to wrap up my thoughts finally, she'll get better as more time goes on, without a doubt.
Yeah, so one thing that I did want to mention that you're talking about now, I know the NFL is different than
Yes.
basketball and things like that. I get it, but one point I was going to say is that even Tom Brady, who is considered one of the greatest players ever in the NFL, came out and basically said, look, the biggest thing about it is they're like, when a player's drafted, whether it be NFL, NBA, MLB, or whatever, these teams immediately want immediate impact from these players.
Exactly. And you can't
Brady,
get that. You're not going to get that in year one.
Yeah, and Brady came out basically said when it comes to a team like Green Bay, it's like, why are they so successful with quarterbacks? Because they draft them and they have them sit behind somebody and develop. Now I understand and basketball you can't do that, but you also can't rely on them so much like you're already thinking from day one. It's about developing. And so It is like when you go from any college sport to a pro sport, no matter what the sport is, it's way different. It is way different. A lot of times they're stronger, faster, they're smarter. So if you might have made it look easy in college, it's not going to be easy when you get in the pros. It's just it's just going to be different. Now, do I think Indiana's going to get better with due time? I do, because right now Caitlin's still young and she's definitely going to have her ups and downs, and we know that's just how it works. Rookies are allowed to have their ups and downs. But James, I'll hit you on this one next. What's your thoughts? Do you feel like Indiana was relying too much on Caitlin Clark?
Sort of. But for all the reasons Callan mentioned and more, you definitely aren't going to get this in the rookie year. She's going to have her bright spots, but a lot of down spots, as I believe tonight. But it was going to be a tough draw for her. Again, like Callan mentioned, all the games played in college this year, and then you go right into the WNBA season. That's brutal. That's just tough. I could not imagine. I know the NBA did that in 2020 to, continue from the bubble, kind of in a way. They had a little layoff, then they got back into that shortened season. But that's just brutal for anyone like that. And the whole rookie class went through that. I am amazed to see her sell out, arenas that normally wouldn't be. Like Callan mentioned, that Sparks game in LA, that was supposed to be played, I think, at the Pyramid in Long Beach. And it was big enough that they had to move it back to where the Sparks should be playing at Crypto.com Arena. So it's great to see that. I also feel like, though, maybe one point that hasn't been talked about, her teammates have kind of let her down. She'll make a great pass, and the teammate will blow a layup. Boston has her ups, but mostly her downs. I think that's fair to say. Like, she'll have some easy baskets that don't go in. She'll miss, a lot of her teammates will miss some threes, But Caitlin, it's like, man, there's so much put on her to, make every three, and it has to be from all different ranges and all that. That's very tough. So I cannot wait for her to get a whole year of rest, and, next season to see if the Fever can, improve the roster just a little bit. But it's all part of growing pains. That's what I think about it. It's unfortunate, though. You have the race angle. It's a thing that just the media keeps, coming up with. And the whole thing with the shove by the Sky player, it's like an initiation. But it's unfortunate that they're different races, and that plays into it.
Definitely.
I just hate that it's at that point where it should just be about you're a rookie and, it's not going to be easy. College to pros, like in any sport, we're going to show you how it's going to be. This is a different league. I don't care what you've done for all of us. We don't have to be grateful for you. We should have had it by now. All the, instead of the, flights being commercial, go to private and all that, or not private, but whatever it is. Charter. That's it. So she's done some great things for the league and for the players, but I think she's mentally tough to stick around the league and go through this rookie season. I just hope that she gets some help, whether it's through the draft again. Hopefully the Fever strike gold on another great player, and she'll have a better second season. Right now, you're just going for individual stats, and you're just trying to make the right plays, but also you're trying to put on a show, and it's so difficult for her. And spotlights on her. I've been watching whenever I can, and man, I just feel bad for her sometimes, just because she's a rookie put in the spotlight, and I'm just hoping it gets a little better for her, where there's things that can improve for her individually and team wise going into next season.
All right, thank you, James. Thank you for that. That was actually a lot of great information. And if you remember when she was first drafted too, everybody talked about how she was the savior in Indiana. So we all know right from the get-go how much pressure was going to be on Caitlin when she was deemed as the savior. All right, so Crispy Bacon, what's your thoughts?
No, I mean, going from college to pro in any sport, it's a lot to go through. And I think because she was selling out arenas in college and, going or being part of the big events and, championships and whatever else, I think that put a big spotlight, a big target per se. And yeah, she is the savior, not necessarily right now of Indiana, but possibly the WNBA. I think she's going to get better, but it's going to be maybe till next year. It's going to take time, but I think right now she will be the savior of Indiana, just not right away. And I think a lot of people want her to be.
All right, Mr. Big B, what is your thoughts?
I mean, Indiana's got to start somewhere, so they got a good player in starting. I guess I didn't read what you guys are actually.
So
the question was first. So
yeah, so the question that we're talking about is because we know that Indiana started the season 3-10, and
Okay.
and when they drafted Caitlin, they were talking about Caitlin being the savior and
Yeah.
everything. So do you think that they put too much pressure on Caitlin from the very beginning? Do you think?
I mean, they definitely put a lot of pressure on her. I mean, it's a 12-person team. I mean, one person can't change it. I shouldn't say that. I mean, the right one person could change a team. I mean, I think there's only a handful of players that, if you got them in their prime or as a rookie, that would change the dynamic of a team right away and improve within the years. I think you guys are all nailing it that, they got to hit on next year's draft, and maybe the year after that, they got to sign some free agents. Now the question I would raise is, if I'm Indiana, outside of the upcoming rookies that are coming over the next few years, what veterans are going to want to play with her, with the big hype that she got coming into the league? Am I going to be able to sign some veterans that won't think that the Eagles won't play the factor, is what I was trying to say. So, I hope everything pans out for them, and I hope a lot of people stop talking about the Olympics and how they snubbed her, because the Olympics is a whole different thing right now. I mean, if it was the amateur game or amateur players being selected, then yeah, she should be in. But they're going with the pros, so I think the best pros got in there. So I think everybody just needs to back off of that and just let the Olympics play like they have. So
Jen Rosati, who's in charge of the U.S. Olympic Basketball Committee, even said that we're not here to worry about ratings. We're here to win a gold medal for the sixth straight Olympic Games. And I even think Diana Taurasi said that in a roundabout way. But again, though, like this new wave of fans, though I'm, glad that people are really supporting this league. At the end of the day, though, this is not all about Caitlin. Like, we have Diana Taurasi going for her sixth straight Olympic gold medal in her career. I forget the exact quote that Jen Rosati said, though. And again, Jen was a legendary player in her own right at UConn back in the early days of the REM dynasties back in the 90s. But Jennifer made that sort of comment, is like, we're not here worrying about merchandise sales and ratings. That's for Indiana to worry about. USA Basketball, we're here trying to win a gold medal in Paris in a couple of weeks, and she'll definitely be on the team in 4 years in Los Angeles. So, everyone just pump the brakes a little bit, for heaven's sakes, is all I have to say.
And Callan, I think you're right. I think that quote was pretty. I think you're dead on the quote that they pretty much said that they're not here for merchandise. I mean, yes, they'll sell the jerseys and stuff, but
They look pretty damn sweet this year too.
yeah. And the thing is she's going to be on there. I mean, I'm glad it's not like a Christian Leitner thing with the Dream Team, because that was just, he shouldn't have been on there. But if we're going to allow the pros to play in the Olympics, then I agree that she shouldn't have been on this year's roster. So still get her chance.
Jack saying, "Hey, Callan, hell of a win by your Padres tonight." So there you go.
Finally got our first sweep of the season and couldn't come against a better team, Jack. Wink, wink.
There you go.
Mhm.
Speaking of that, how nuts is that? 6 gold medals. Never will anyone ever do that again.
I don't know, though, Jason. Michael Phelps won 8 golds in Beijing in 2008. I mean, between him and Katie Ledecky, I don't know, man. But yeah, 6 gold, those is pretty impressive stuff.
All right, so go ahead and jumping into our next topic. You knew this was going to be a thing. You knew this was going to absolutely be a thing, because I just think that the whole thing is interesting to me, that they banned him because he got a new sponsorship, basically with a vegan hot dog company, that he's not allowed to be in the hot dog eating contest anymore. However, they do have a contest coming up between him and Kobayashi.
Labor Day.
Yeah, on Labor Day, yeah. And so Jason's saying Joey Chestnut goes vegan. It's just interesting to me that they would ban him from a competition because of being of having a sponsorship of a vegan hot dog. But the thing is, so let's say whoever wins the hot dog eating competition this year, does that mean that there's actually an asterisk by it because
No,
Joey Chestnut is not there?
I don't think so.
Well, I'm just saying because Joey Chestnut would pretty much beat anybody again. I mean, he just wins it year after year after year. That's like saying Chris going to Turkey Bacon. Exactly.
Oh,
Right.
man.
So, James, I'll start out with you on this one. Are you surprised that Joey Chestnut was banned, and do you think that they should ban him from the competition?
It's puzzling. I still don't know why exactly. Just only because he signed, I guess, with that.
Yeah.
You know, what do you call it? Vegan.
Yeah.
If that's the only reason why, that's very stupid. I don't care about the competitions between companies or whatever. I don't think it should matter when it comes to that. Love turkey bacon, by the way. Yeah, that just doesn't make sense to me. Why would you have your number one, draw not be allowed to be there among all the controversy? I think he would have thrived under that, and people would watch it even more. I think on both sides, whether you're vegan or not. I don't want to compare this, but remember when Michael Jordan took 18 months off and everybody thought it was a secret suspension by the commissioner? That's what this kind of reminds me of. But you know what? When you mention he's going to face Kobayashi, that might be a better... I don't know why you would watch something like that, but maybe that would be a better watch than him just crushing the competition each year. So maybe they'll realize it won't be a good thing, and they'll bring him back next year, no matter what.
All right, but so Chris, let me ask you this: or James, sorry, let me ask you this for your final question on this one would be, since Joey Chestnut's not there, and you know that he would destroy the competition, should there technically be an asterisk by whoever wins this?
Yeah, because it's something so minor. It's not like it's not something important without him. So I think that has to be said. Now you would have thought, okay, maybe he had a heart attack or he needed a heart surgery, and you say, hey, that's the reason he's not there, and then that would, I don't know, maybe put an asterisk for that, but for this, you could, but I don't care either way.
All right, so James saying no. Crispy Bacon,
Mhm.
what your thoughts? Should he be banned, and should they have an asterisk next to the winner?
No, but who's he facing on Labor Day?
Kobayashi.
Kobayashi.
Yeah, so Kobayashi, when he stepped down, he had like a dental procedure and he had to step away. And then that's how we got to Joey Chestnut winning all these championships. But he had to, retire from, competition. Now, I think this situation, I'm guessing, is because it's not Nathan's. If Nathan's hot
That's
dogs,
exactly why.
yeah, and they wear the sponsorship on their shirts, their jerseys, whatever. So I'm thinking that's why. But I don't think it shouldn't have an asterisk. No.
Right. So I think the thing is though is like I thought for some reason that Kobayashi was in the contest one time with Joey Chestnut before, and Joey Chestnut beat him. I could be wrong, but I thought that they had faced off not one-on-one before, but I thought that Kobayashi was in the competition with Joey Chestnut before, at least once.
Yeah. Before Kobayashi had to step away, they were.
Yeah, and Chestnut beat him then.
No, I think it was Kobayashi that won it, and then Chestnut won it the next year.
Yeah, I could be wrong, but yeah. All right. Big B, what's your thoughts?
Well, I mean, it's just funny that we're talking about this because, I mean, I know it's 4th of July and I watched this a little bit. I should say I watched it like from start to finish, but it's just gross. But anyways, so Chestnut sides with the vegan company they're saying there's a competition or a competitor of the Nathan, so they banned them. Anybody. So I mean, if Chestnut does any type of competition, like we were talking about the one in Labor Day, now is he going to have to eat vegan hot dogs, or is he going to be able to eat whatever hot dogs? I mean, is that something that's got to be talked about? Because typically, a sponsor when they do stuff like that, they want their logo out there, they want their food out there, stuff like that. So it'll be kind of interesting. Maybe what Chestnut and the vegan company need to do is set up a little stand outside across the street from him, and then let him do his own competition as the competition's going on, and see. But as far as the asterisk goes, I mean, without Googling, I don't think anybody's come close to beating Chestnut in all the years that he's been there. So I mean, if they come close, okay, maybe we put an asterisk on there. But if they win and we know Chestnut would have crushed them, okay, maybe not an asterisk. But again, if I'm the one that wins, I want to beat the best. So I'm gonna probably come out and challenge Chestnut, even though I know I may get destroyed. But it's something that we've always heard: to be the man, you got to beat the man. And if Chestnut's there, then unless he steps down by himself, we got a new champion. So we'll see what happens.
So a competitor came close in 2017. Joey Chestnut ate 72 hot dogs and buns, while his competitor ate 60.
Well,
Yeah, so he still beat him by 12. So
yeah.
so I'm just saying that's a pretty sizable difference there. All right. Callan, what is your thoughts?
Well, I I have seen Mr. Chestnut eat in person at a Padres game, and he scarfed down like 15 or 20 legitimate ice cream cookie sandwiches before a Padre game. And he was there and did the first pitch and stuff like that. And uh that was quite a spectacle. But as far as this goes, guys, and I'm going to make a very odd comparison, but I think Adam, you'll enjoy this, Chris will enjoy this, Brandon will enjoy this, and Christy will enjoy this. This makes me feel like this is Rhea Ripley having to give up the women's championship in WWE because of an injury. Like they
Yeah.
have to give up the championship and they have like the big battle royal. Someone wins, wins the belt, and they only temporarily hang on to it until that person is fully back to full strength and healthy. Then they come back and do all their tomfoolery and Rhea's champion again. That's kind of how I feel like this situation is. But the fact of I know it's like the sponsorship thing and the whole thing with the vegan stuff. But part of me kind of wonders though too, like, can someone like please beat this guy? And can someone like, take the belt from him, stuff like that? So I will probably compare it more to that though. It just kind of feels like though, this is like that WWE storyline basically, with the fact of, hey, Chestnut's banned for a year. We're going to have a new champion. I'll use air quotes on that. And then we'll bring him back next year and see how, the person that won. You know what else it reminds me of, for James on Entertainment Hour? Like Brandon brought the point, though. This makes me think of Tommy Gunn, and his manager not fighting Rocky Balboa in the ring in Rocky V. Everyone was calling, him a paper champion because, well, you may have won the belt, but he didn't beat the guy who had the belt before he had to give it up because of his health. And then he gets waxed in the parking lot in Philadelphia. That's also like a very similar parallel I can probably, compare this to in regards to this whole thing. But the fact it boils down to him being sponsored not by Nathan's, that's a pretty heavy grudge to be holding against, the face of competitive eating that literally brings people into Coney Island every summer. I think anyone who goes to the event in person pays their money to see Joey Chestnut scarf down those 80 dogs in 6 minutes and, and all that sort of stuff. But I just think that this is a very, very foolish look, though, for competitive eating and for the organizers of this event to literally like hold this grudge over the face of their sport because he's with the vegan hot dog company or with a competitor in the hot dog business. Pretty stupid.
So just so I understand this, you do feel like they're going to bring him back?
I feel like they're going to, because I think that, I really hate bringing up all my like thoughts from press row, but I just kind of feel like though, if for some reason the TV viewership's down, or for some reason that people who bought tickets don't show up now, or they start selling them, that should be alarm bells like, oh, gee, I wonder why they're not coming. Because you morons kicked out your champion because he's being sponsored by a freaking rival competitor of hot dogs.
Okay.
And they'll learn from it like, okay, you're allowed to come back in 2025.
Okay, no, I feel it. I completely get to where you're coming from with that. And it actually wouldn't surprise me
Oh my goodness,
if they did allow him to come back.
Oh my Lord. I don't know, Christy, but he came out with the belt and everything, custom Padre jersey on, and he scarfed down all those ice cream sandwiches. It was pretty
I just don't know how they can do that. I eating that much anyways.
It's a long process.
Right, yeah.
Oh, poor Randy. Yeah. Him burning his water.
Right?
Yes, Street Fight is what I was comparing it to as well. Yeah, right. Major League Eating looks like a bunch of morons. I agree. What a clown show.
All right, so going into our next one, we have the NBA Finals, which, sorry, Crispy, I had to bring this up because we know that the Celtics won again tonight, and they're up 3-0.
Guys just lost to the Timberwolves. We've been over with already.
You know what, though? I am simply saying this, though. Like, going into this series, I already had a really bad feeling. I really did. Because you could clearly tell that the Celtics just were completely superior over Dallas. Like coming in, you're like, I legitimately gave Dallas like a 5% chance of winning the series, if that. Like I was going in being like, I think I said maybe Boston in 6 going in, but I thought they might win a game or two. That Dallas might win a game or two, but then as the series was going on, I'm like, wow, how overmatched is Dallas in this series? They're so overmatched. Now, would it surprise me if they get one? No, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if they might get one. I don't think that they're going to win back to back. They might get one, but so the series might end in 5. So right now, I'm calling it. I'm going to say it goes 5. So
I'm gonna say it goes 4 and Boston wins. I have no hope.
So Chris,
Ye of little faith down there in square 4.
So you're already throwing in the towel. You're saying that Boston's going to get the sweep.
I'm hopeful. I was hoping that we would split at home, and they would, Dallas would split at home, and then also Boston would split at home for them, and then Dallas would win 2 more. But it's going to be a tough road if we do win 2 games or 4 games, and on a night where we won our championship 13 years ago. It didn't go too well tonight, but
well,
I'm optimistic, but it's not looking good.
Well, I give Dallas like a 0.1% chance of winning 4 consecutive games.
Just never happened.
Right, it's like a 0.1% chance that Dallas wins 4 consecutive games and wins the series. I just don't see. I just don't see it happening. I think Boston just far more superior.
And yeah, Chris, I thought so too.
Yeah, and that's okay to think that, but yeah. So Jason, Dallas is the most overrated sports town in America. All right. Big B, what's your thoughts on the NBA Finals? Did you see it happening the way that it's happening?
No, I didn't. I mean, I'm not, saying that Minnesota could have put up a better fight like some of the local media around here is saying, and a couple people nationally are saying, but no, I figured it would have been a Boston to 7 at least, or it would have looked like 7, but down 3-0 now, as we saw today. I mean, nobody's come back from a 4 or 3-0 deficit. I mean, it's not looking good for the Mavericks. I don't know if Minnesota ran them out, or if Boston has a better defense than Minnesota, but from what I've seen on highlights, they don't look like the same team that got there over the Timberwolves. They're not doing the Lob City. They're not doing all that stuff that they were doing. So, Boston just shows exactly why they were the better team this year. And I honestly, if Minnesota would have got in, I would have even put money on Boston to win, because I just think the Minnesota kind of overachieved this year. I mean, I'm glad they did what they did, but they just showed they were outmatched. So if it comes back, Christy, I hope they do. But I don't see it going past at least 5. But it would not surprise me if the game 4 on Friday. If it ends on Friday, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, well, so like you're saying, Big B, Boston is better on defense. They're better on offense, and they just have the more overall talented squad. I'm not taking anything away from Dallas.
No,
but on paper going in, you could see that Boston was the far superior team. They haven't been the best team all year for nothing. You're like they looked really good all season.
Yep.
All season they looked really good.
Yep. No, you're exactly right.
All right, so thanks for somehow getting the Pistons in there and taking a shot at me for that.
And then J-Mac threw out that the Minnesota's most cursed team. What are you talking about? we have won a recent championship in women's hockey. I mean, come on now.
I know he
All
said
right.
most cursed sports state, so that means that the most cursed sports city, don't listen to Isaiah, is San Diego, California,
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
or
If it wasn't
Buffalo,
for
New
the
York.
women's sport, Minnesota hasn't won nothing since '91. So
Exactly.
All right. Callan, I saw you kind of shaking your head. Some things that I was saying that you're like, yeah, that is true. Like you didn't really give Dallas much of a chance yourself, right?
Yeah, I mean, James and I talked about the finals our last late night show on the 4th, and I think we both took both sides. And in like one of the rare times I don't agree with the co-host usually, but at the end of the day, the point I kept hitting off the driving range about the finals for the NBA. It just felt like that 2024 was Boston's year, and I know James knows I brought up the point though. Tatum and Brown are really showing that they really have been able to play together, because I think a lot of the national pundits have said, break this core up. These guys can't play together. And all they did was add more to it by getting, some veterans, Derek White, for example, and then getting Drew Holiday into the mix and equation as well. Now, yes, can we probably say, well, the Celtics had the easiest path to get to the finals because Miami was beat up without Jimmy Butler, and the Knicks were compromised without having OG Ubanubi and Jalen Brunson, and then the Pacers looked like they didn't know what they were doing in the third round of the postseason by having backcourt turnovers in a game one that they were going to win. Like, yeah, we can have the excuse of that with the Celtics, but it just feels like it's this group's time to finally win it. And I think regardless of who won the Western Conference title between the Mavericks and the Wolves, they had no chance because Boston has gone wire to wire, and they're on the goal line now of going a wire to wire number one overall seed, and now hoisting up Larry O'Brien for the 18th time in franchise history, literally weeks after Bill Walton, one of the other best Celtics of all time, passed away over Memorial Day weekend. But definitely, I watched parts of game 3, and I know that there was a great, 21-point comeback that Dallas had made. But every time, though, in the closing minutes of this game, as I'm watching it, when Dallas is getting close, Boston is scoring. They're forcing bad shots from Kyrie. They're forcing bad looks from PJ Washington. They made Luka Doncic foul out of a playoff game for the first time in his whole entire playing career. He had a great game, but again, he fouls out with 6 fouls. But literally, anytime the Mavericks were on that run and they got within 1, got within 2, got within 1 possession, Tatum is scoring. Brown's laying up a basket. Derek White's making threes. After pretty much pick and roll, penetrate inside and kick the ball out to an open shooter. Like, Boston had an answer every single time Dallas was trying to make a comeback in this ball game. So, I mean, at this rate, I really think that the lights go out on Friday and the Celtics have their 18th title and their first one since I was in 8th grade in 2008.
So it sounds like we're all in agreement there that Boston's probably going to sweep this. Are you giving him mini games?
I just think it just feels like it's a Herculean task. I mean, they had the stat like anyone who's gone up 3-0 is like 156-0 in the finals history. Like it would have to take, and I don't want to put this out in the universe, but it would have to take probably Brown and Tatum getting injured in some capacity, or they have awful shooting nights, and then the Mavericks, kind of get hot and don't let their foot off the gas pedal. But right now, Dallas kind of, in a way, pun intended, they need all the luck they can get right now in the world, and it's not going to come against the Celtics at this rate.
Yeah, and don't forget that Porzingis didn't even play either.
Yeah, and he
Boston
got hurt again, and even with him not even being out there, like the Celtics did not miss a beat. I think Mike Breen said the Celtics are 15-2 this postseason. So, just imagine if they win on Friday, they would have won 16 out of 18 possible playoff games this entire postseason run.
Yeah, and that's just crazy. All right, James, what's your thoughts on the finals?
And not only that, to add to Callan's point, Boston has won 10 straight playoff games. Remember, they had their woes in game 2s. Probably should have lost some of those Pacer games, but didn't. Whenever the game is in the balance, whenever they are close with the team, they don't have panic. That's really good. And I know everybody was criticizing their coach, from last year and the way that they exited against Miami, 8-1 in the conference finals. They definitely redeemed themselves. They learned how to thrive. Uh, Getting Drew Holiday was massive. He's a guy that can go in there, guard your best player, unless it's a really tall guy. But he can also strip the ball. It's just something Milwaukee's really, really missing right now. And I bet they regret trading him away. It is unfortunate about Porzingis. He will get a ring. To get hurt again like he did, it's unfortunate. I heard it was a rare injury as well. But he'll get a ring, and then Tatum will get validated along with Brown. So that would be a great thing. Luka will have to wait his turn again. Kyrie, will have to go back and, wonder if he should go play with LeBron or if he could do it, again. We were hoping Kyrie would make it a 2-1 series after Luka fouled out, but, he missed some shots. The pressure was on him. It was basically 1 versus, 6 or 7. That's how deep Boston was tonight of impact players. It was amazing to see Boston again. They had no panic. For me, usually I give a gentleman's sweep of 5 games, but Boston right now has no brakes. It's all gas right now. They've been driven all season long, as I mentioned how they finished last season. I think it's all going to come ahead Friday with the sweep of the Mavericks and getting that championship. It was a great season for Dallas to, get better at the All-Star or at the trade deadline and make a run in the difficult West like they did. But Boston was a clear favorite throughout. It was Boston. You take Boston or the field, it was definitely Boston this year. And a lot of players on that team deserves this ring. So that's going to be very, very awesome to see.
Well, I really do think that Boston kind of had a chip on their shoulder. And the reason I'm saying that is because it's like you said, James, last year how the season ended, how people were saying, oh, Boston can't win the big one. They're like, this team can't win the big one. They're going to always choke in the playoffs. And that's what they kept saying. And I know, Callan, you mentioned that too. It's like, they're like, these two can't play together. Well, so they had that chip on their shoulder and coming out trying to show people, yeah, we can. It was just, last year was just, things just didn't fall into place. It just didn't work.
Yeah, and if I can add to that point though, and this kind of got my gears grinding because we were talking about how like duos or triple or sometimes super teams don't work though, but it takes time, and I was just kind of thinking back a little bit to how back at the start of a show we were talking about the WNBA, and I talked about my time when I got to interview Candace Parker after her season ended in 2014 in Los Angeles, and kind of that chip on the shoulder of like their 2016 team is probably one of the best I've seen in quite a while. They were like the second best team all year. They won 30 plus games and they won like 20. They went like 26-4. But they're a group of Candace, Nneka Ogwumike, Elena Beard, and Christy Tolliver. Like their starting 5 had been together for the latter part of almost 6, 7, 8 seasons. Like it takes it takes time for these kinds of, cores to actually make it all work out, though. They had 3 or 4 straight years of 1-point backbreaking losses in the first round, in the conference semifinals or the conference finals. It took them until 2016. That's 8 years from Candace Parker getting drafted in 2008 until she won her first championship. Then, of course, she won in 21 and 23 in Chicago and Vegas. And I just kind of think about that with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. I think they were drafted like a couple years apart. Though it takes time. I think it takes time in every sport. But I think it does take maybe more time. I think in basketball because of how kind of lopsided like the scales are where it comes to competitive nature, Western Conference, Eastern Conference. But certainly this group is really proving that point, Adam, though, that the chip is on the shoulder and come Friday or game 5 that Larry O'Brien's going to be back in Boston pretty soon.
Absolutely. But I was kind of hoping for a more competitive finals. I really, really was. I was hoping it was going to be just a little bit more competitive, but it just hasn't been. And
it's been brutal.
Yeah, it happens. So to wrap, Jason's saying I think the Celtics had as many wins this year as the Pistons have had in like 5 years. Okay, yeah, whatever. Anyway, so to wrap this up, I just kind of wanted to make a fun little topic just to kind of go ahead and wrap it up. This deals with the topic of baseball. We all like baseball, so. We know that some records in sports are not meant to be broke. Like we're looking at that going, look, there's some records that we might see as like personally like impossible to break. So when we're talking about impossible records, I'm going to give you 2 options and you tell me which one will probably be broke first. Is it Joe DiMaggio's hit streak, or is it Fernando Tatis's 2 grand slams in 1 inning? Which one of those broke first? Big B, I'll start with you. Which one would you see getting broke first?
Man. I don't know. Because the hit streak, I think Jimmy Rollins was the closest one to come close to the consecutive hit streak. I don't think anybody's had a chance at 2 grand slams in 1 inning. Ironically, it'd be funny if it was happening like at the same time, by the same person. That'd be kind of interesting. But oh man, in today's game, oh, man, that's tough. I think I'm gonna have to go to grand slams because I just don't see anybody getting that many hits in a row, especially with the time off they get. Unless you get that one special player that maybe Dela Cruz maybe does it if he plays every day, but I guess I would have to go with the grand slam. Luis Ariz. I mean, maybe, but yeah. So I'll go with the 2 grand slams. I think will be broke first, if ever.
All right, crispy bacon. Which one's gonna get broke first?
Ooh. I feel like they're even, maybe, but I'll go with the grand slam.
All right, so Big B saying grand slams, crispy bacon saying grand slams. Callan, how about you? Which one gets broken first?
My serious answer will be the Grand Slams, having lived in Slam Diego, California, where the Padres hit the 4 slams in a row in 2020. But that's my serious answer. My other answer is actually not even listed. Cal Ripken Jr.'s Ironman streak will never be touched whatsoever.
No.
That is the one streak in baseball that will never be broken, because now baseball, from a report I read a while back, baseball has their own type of load management now, like the NBA does, in case you were wondering.
Well,
yeah, they do. So you're saying that you
Grand
believe
Slams.
that the Grand Slams will be broken first?
Yes.
All right, James, how about you?
I'm gonna say the hit streak falls first. I'm just gonna think someone out there gonna go against the grain and get the hit streak. It's just, and I think that was a once upon a time thing for Tatis to get the grand slams in 2 straight or in one inning. Thank you, Chan-Ho Park, for that. Yeah, so I think the hit streak goes first.
It'd be poetic if it was Junior who did it with the Padres against the Dodgers.
Mhm.
That'd be very
That
poetic.
would
If
be
that was how
awesome.
That would be
that'd
fun.
be amazing.
Like,
I mean, because you got to think the team would have to put up what 20 plus runs. I mean, to do it.
yeah.
I mean,
Because, yeah, I mean, 2 grand slams in one inning would be an 8-run inning, so they put up at least 15 runs that inning.
yeah.
Yeah. And the interesting thing is it's like when you watch the highlights of it, you're sitting there going, how is Chin-Ho Park still pitching?
Yeah, how is he
Mhm.
still in the ball game?
Well, that was in LA too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it was.
Yes, but I was sitting there going, how in the heck? Because when you're watching the highlights and you see Tatis hit the first one, and then it comes around again, and Park is still pitching, and you're like, dude, the dude's still pitching.
The bullpen must have been taxed the night before.
I was going to say bullpen was probably taxed the night before. Or
Okay, so real quick, I just pulled up the box score from that game on baseballreference.com.
yeah.
The Cardinals scored 11 runs in that inning where he hit the 2 slams.
Wow.
They beat him 12-5.
Right?
So was it early in the game or late in the game?
11-run third inning.
Yeah.
So they were
Okay.
losing 2-0, and then they put 11 unanswered up, and then they put on their last run in the top of the 6th.
Keller, look up the game before and see what it was like with the bullpen.
Yeah,
Because that would
the
be just
game
ridiculous.
Okay, the game before, St. Louis lost to the Brewers 2-1 in Milwaukee.
Also, it was
No,
The
the
Dodgers.
Dodgers.
Oh, the Dodgers. Okay, hang on a sec.
Mm-hmm.
That would just be bad management if they didn't play or if they had no bullpen.
So the night before, the Bravos beat them 11-4 at Dodger Stadium.
So they probably used a lot of bullpen people, yeah.
Yeah.
No,
so,
Kevin Brown threw 8 innings that night and did not get the loss.
what the hell?
They lost the game. They lost in 12 innings, and the Braves scored 7 unanswered in the top of the 12th inning with no runner on second base to start the inning.
Was Davey Johnson the manager of that
They
time
scored
before
7
Jim
runs
Christie?
in the top of the 12th inning with no runner
Yeah,
on
who
second
was
base.
how does
managing?
that? So that to me is bad management there.
Yes.
Who was the manager at the time?
Good question.
I want to say
Let's see if I
Davey
can find it.
Johnson.
And by the way, the umpire at second base for that game that I just brought up about them playing Atlanta, Angel Hernandez.
Because I'm wondering if your bullpen is not taxed, how do you allow a pitcher
They must hated him.
to sit in there?
Yeah.
So the Braves actually had more pitchers come in this game versus Atlanta. Odalis Perez threw 4 innings.
Hey.
Justin Spire threw 1 inning. John Hudek threw 1 inning. Former Padre Rudy Cianez threw 1 inning. The infamous John Rocker threw 1 1/3. Kevin McGlinchey blown save 2/3 of an inning. Mike Reminger got the W in the 12th inning of play.
Wow.
And
Yes,
the Dodgers,
Kevin Brown threw 8 innings, and the Dodgers still lost the game because they let them score 7 runs in the top of the 12th.
and the manager for the Dodgers, that just sounds like poor baseball management.
It is.
It does.
It is, because you're sitting there going, oh, well, he's allowed a grand slam. That's okay. He's still good. Oh, wait, they scored another 3. Oh, Tatis is back up. That's okay. Just leave him out there.
It won't happen again. Don't worry.
Yes, and the manager of the Dodgers in '99 was Davey Johnson.
It was. Okay.
So, yeah, bad management, 100%. Bad management. All right.
And for those, by the way, who are wondering about Chan-Ho Park's final line, 2 2/3 innings, 8 hits, 11 runs. 6 of the 11 runs were earned, 3 walks, 2 strikeouts, and he gave up 3 homers, including the 2 slams to Fernando Tatis Sr.
That's terrible. That's terrible.
2
If
for
I'm
5, 2 runs scored, 8 RBIs, 2 home runs, and 2 strikeouts.
after allowing like my 6th run, I'd be looking at the manager, be like, "So, are you?"
When are you
Are
going to come
you-
get me?
I'm like, "Are you coming out to get me, or?"
You'd be like, time out. I need to visit the mound. When are
Yeah.
you taking me out?
Okay, I guess you can just
Well,
come
that
in.
would have been something if he would have just walked off the mound after
Mhm.
I'm out of here. Good night, everybody.
I'm not
Just
gonna lie.
let-
I probably at that point in time I might have, because I'd be like, "Look, honestly,
Did
I
they
don't
take
have-
him out right after the second slam, or did he finish?
I think they finally took him out after Senior took him
Oh.
out of the yard for the second time.
well, yeah, because I'd be looking at that code. Obviously, I don't have it tonight, so
Oh yeah, I would have.
Get me out of here. 2 2/3 innings. I'm done. I mean, look at the box score.
yeah,
Yeah.
but I'm saying after the 6th run, I would be looking at the coach, and be like, "Coach, I don't have it tonight. Like, why are you take me out? I don't have it tonight." But
I think if they would have left me in after that second slam, I think I would have just dropped the ball on the pitcher's mound and just walked back to the bullpen.
Take me out of the ball game. Take me off of the mound.
Well, we are at that point in time now, so we'll go ahead and give our final thoughts. So, Callan, what final thoughts do you have for us tonight?
Great show. Glad to end on a good topic like that. Just a couple of small housekeeping things. I believe we will have Kicking It tomorrow.
Yes.
Extra bonus for you. You have seen it below on screen. Working on the start time, but we are moving Press Row to the prime time into the evening tomorrow. I have family coming over to see that to hang out at the house now that my niece and nephew are out of school, or my nieces now they're coming over to spend time with their uncle tomorrow. So we're moving Press Row to the evening at some point tomorrow, probably after Kicking It does conclude. So we'll have our regular Thursday program, and Puck and Roll covering the brand new Elite Draft League here in San Diego will get underway June 21st and June 23rd with our preview, our first official episode previewing and recapping our first week of action in the league. Had another meeting with the commissioner, Josh Fontaine, today. Went very well. And again, they're very enthused about the partnership with Coast to Coast for the podcast of the league. So big thanks to all of you on the panel for letting this come to fruition. And yeah, great show. And we'll talk to everyone again tomorrow.
All right, and James, final thoughts for you.
Yeah, me, Crispy Bacon, and Randy will be back for Entertainment Hour on Friday. Hope to be with you tomorrow on Kicking It. And then on deck, hopefully we'll come back on Sunday.
Father's Day special.
Oh, yeah. And rest in peace, Jerry West, the logo.
The logo.
Yep.
Well said today, too, by Mr. Herrera earlier today as well.
All right, and Crispy Bacon, your final thoughts?
Yeah, thanks everyone for watching. Tune in Entertainment Hour Friday, on deck Sunday, Between the Ropes Sunday. So a lot of shows coming to the network, so stay tuned.
And they're all scheduled and ready to go.
Big B.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was, a great finish to the show, but, I just got to give Callan props for giving me credit. I mean, I don't get credit too much, but, like I said, rest in peace to the guy, the logo. There's so many people that are, named the face of the franchise, name of the sports league, but, right now there's only one face of the NBA, the logo. I know a lot of people said that Harmon Killebrews, the logo of MLB, has not been confirmed nor denied, or it's been more denied than confirmed. But with that being said, Kicking It tomorrow is going to be great. I do have a request movie already in place by one Mr. Tim Hendricks. So we'll see what happens.
Well, unfortunately, the co-host will not be there tomorrow.
Oh, you got to be kidding.
So we think.
Oh.
So far that I know of, he won't be there. But
okay,
so
you better be.
So you all will be my co-host tomorrow.
All
right. So thank you everybody for watching another episode of Sports Minute. We're back, and we'll see you next Wednesday for another episode of Sports Minute. With that, everyone have a fantastic freaking night, and we will see you next time.